Hello and welcome to part one of Almost Spring. This is a reference from last week. I was up in Rocky Mountain National Park, which was the second week in May, of course. There's still snow and stuff like that up there. And it's always a great time to be in the park because you get all these really subtle, moody references. And that's what we're learning to paint about this week is creating mood. So today was block in, and block in means we're going to try to cover this 13 by 16 canvas with some sort of value color and try to get our shapes in the right place. So that was the big challenge today. And I want to encourage you to get outside and paint with your friends, get critiques, and get in front of a blank canvas and give it all you got. So I always think maybe the next one is going to be the very best painting I've ever done. So let's get to today's painting. All right, thanks. Bye-bye. Hello and good morning. I'm George Coll again. And today's painting is titled, for lack of a better term, Almost Spring. This was up in Rocky Mountain National Park last week. And that would have made it kind of, I think, the second week in May. So yeah, it's still winter up there. I'm working on a 13 by 16 canvas glued to gator board. I'm working with the old basics, blue, red, yellow, Naples, cold gray. I got my siennas, raw and burnt. I got my viridian green, my titanium white. This is a slop pile left over from last week, or from previous paintings this weekend. And this is my clean white, and I've got some of my old faithful left over here from last week also. It looks like a cerulean and a cad yellow medium. Terp, paper towels, everything's ready to go. And I think I'm ready to go because it's good to get back to a nice foreground, middle ground, background painting. What I think the object of this painting is to create mood, which is kind of a subtle, sultry, gray, beautiful day up in the Rocky Mountain National Park. All right, so let's get rid of some of this stuff and draw some shapes. Today is block in. We want to figure out where the shapes are and take our first stab at some sort of a value color. So, if you really look closely, last night I put a real thin wash on here, which was a gray with a lot of terp so that it would dry. I stuck it in the dashboard of my car when I went golfing, stuck it so I pointed the van toward the sun, and I think it did a pretty good job of drying it out. But it's very, very light, it's very thin, and that's how you can make these dry pretty quickly, is by adding a lot of terp. All right, so let's go to my slop pile with some white. Let's make some gray. Here's some blue. I'm going to start with some red also and some green. And we're going to make a gray with some red and some viridian green. Nice subtle. It's a different type of gray. Been experimenting with it. I used it right here on my block, or my wash that I put on the canvas. And there we go. See, it's just a little bit darker than what we have on there right now. So I'm looking at this. It looks like the willows are a little bit above center. So I'll start here. I think they tilt a little bit. I better make that a little darker for you all. I'm going to add some blue and red so you can see it better on camera. And there, you can see it better. And then we have trees, middle ground trees. I'm going to also change the angle here too with the bushes, and then these kind of come down here. Then we have another opposing background mountain going in the back. I'll use a little bit lighter color here. And then we have these sultry mountains. So I'm going to try to do my best to figure out where these shapes are going to be. Because they're very iconic in Rocky Mountain National Park, and if you get them wrong, it's kind of like the locals will say, well, that's not right. You always got to put up with the peanut gallery, you know what I mean? If you don't get it exactly right sometimes, at least for the locals. Now, I think this comes this way. All right, I think that's not too bad. I think I'm a little too low with this. I think I have to bring that this way a little bit more. So this is the background mountain. All right, time to figure out where this foreground is going to be. So let's start with the no-brainers. Looks like we have a bank coming over here. And from there we have a bank that goes around a corner. And then we have another guy coming out of here. Looks like the old Zorro here. Okay. A little too contrived. I can see that already. Yes, I can. So I think this needs to go this way. And then we've got banks kind of coming around. These would be banks. And all right, let's change up here a little bit and make a darker mixture, okay? So let's go with, let's pick this all up, mix it all together, use it later. And let's go with a blue raw sienna, and blue raw sienna. So I made a pretty good pile of it. Makes a real subtle green. And let's make a variation of that with Naples, blue raw sienna. And let's get a little cad yellow medium in there. Cad yellow medium. So this would be bush color, I think, over here. And let's add some more dark over on this side, which would be blue and raw sienna. Blue, raw sienna. Okay. Let's start with the dark stuff. I'm going to get some turp on here. I better clean this brush. I have baby oil on it, I think. Cleaned it from my last painting. And that's a little too, let's get a little bit more bluey in there. See, I'm adding some of that blue from the sky, or I mean from the drawing here. And this is the as you can see, I'm making it a little bit more solid. Now, I also have some closer trees over here on the right. So I'm going to go to the darker mixture and I think we've got some trees that are really substantial coming up the side here. And kind of squeezing things out here a little bit up in the mountain. Then I've got this one tree over here on the right that looks a little too much like a Christmas tree. I think I'm gonna, he's too perfect. I don't want to have something that looks too perfect in nature. You can add a little bit more blue, a little bit more raw sienna, a little bit more blue, a little bit more raw sienna, and see, I just made this a little darker with these fellas over on the right. If they're darker, they're closer. Now I want to use some of this mixture for the base of the bushes. I kind of see bushes bases coming down here. And I see some patterns of dark back up in here. And these are bush bases. Say that 3 times fast. Okay. Oh, then we have a dark guy over here. Let me get a blue. Forgot the right bank. Let's get over there. Right bank, blue, and I think right up here we have some good darks, bases that kind of come up into this area. And we have some darks coming down here. All right, now we also have some of these same darks. I'm going to get some more blue here. I'm going to add some Viridian to it, Viridian Ultra Blue. We have some real honking darks right up in here in the water, particularly on the base. So that's a blue and a Viridian. I'm going to add some cerulean to the mixture. Add some white. And more white. I'm using it for my slop pile because, hey, this is blocking. It doesn't have to be perfect. We're just trying to cover some canvas right now with some value color. Okay, so we got the dark, we have the light water, got that taken care of. Now we got to worry about bushes. All right, so let's go to that lighter mixture we have. I'm going to clean my brush thoroughly. Try to get some of that turf out and prior color. I forgot to tell you, I'm working on it with a number 6 rosemary filbert. Okay, let's go to this. Let's get some more yellow in this mixture. Anyway, we had some, I think, Naples orange or cad yellow medium. And let's see what we got here. Good base color, good. I know some of you were saying, but it's not that exact color. I'm looking at the base of it. I see this in the base. I need a good base color. Kind of a greeny yellow. So I'm concentrating more on the cad yellow medium. I'm going to add just a little bit of Viridian to it and a little bit of red. Good subtle color. Oh, got the blue in there. What am I thinking? Screwed that up. Think. All right, will do. All right, here we go. We're, I think, proceeding along pretty good. I better put a few leave a little bit of background color coming through here. I think we see some snow up in that area here that I see into the willows. Oh, I forgot there's a big old tree out here. Let's see what I can do here. So I'm going to erase a little bit. Actually, I'm working on linen. I'm going to go back to that darker color. Add some raw sienna to it. And that might be a little too big, I think. Let me see if I can reduce him a little. I'm going back to that bush color. Let me thin him out a little. No, that's not quite working. Probably my rag will do just as good. And I'm kind of blurring the stuff between the trees and the bushes there. All right, let me get back and see what damage I've done. Okay, so far so good. I think we also are missing some, let's get some real good darks. I'm going to go burnt sienna, blue, red, viridian. There's some, I think, subtle darks down here, rocks or something in the river. I'm just going to start making some notes about that with these darks, subtle darks. All right. What little I have of this color, I'm going to just try to blend things together a little bit with my knife. Oh my goodness, my canvas is loose. Let's get that done. Okay. And call it quits for that. Okay, let's get this stuff off the palette over to the side and get ready for working above in the mountains. All right, this is blocking. No reason to panic. Okay, just because I'm moving on at this clip, you don't have to stay with me exactly. You can start and stop and pause, you know, rule it back. But you see, I'm trying to do a good job covering this canvas stuff. Oh, should have done something over here. See what I can do here. I've got some stuff in my brush. Let me see, it's just thin stuff. No, that's not going to do it. All right. We have to start thinking about grays. I'm going to move to a number 4 filbert. And get a fresh rag. Pick up this terpy area I just messed with. And let's go over to cold gray and white and white. And let's make a darker one on this, the left side. Too dark. Jeez. Okay. So we have a light and a dark. And let me first get this. I'm going to go first to a number 10 flat. Oh, I better clean that brush. I've got baby oil in it. Dry it thoroughly. And let me get this darker color and see how this darker color works with getting some of these darks in. I think this has a steeper ridge to it. And this has gray more on one side and a little bit down here. And then we have a big gray cut into here. and more gray in this area. See, not too scientific, just... You say, well, what about that snow in there? Well, we'll have to do that later. I know there's a lot of snow within these darks. I'm going to add some blue to this mixture, ultra blue. Ultra blue. Oh, too much. And I'm going to get some of this blue stuff. It's a different kind of gray, I think. I'm going to go to this middle ground, or this area here, with some of that gray and blue that I used over here. I'm lightening it up just a little bit. And I'm going to use that over in here. And you can see, just by adding a little bit of gray in that mixture, it says, hey, I'm in front of these guys back here. Now I have this lighter mixture, which is maybe a little bit lighter than the sky. I'm not sure. So I'm going to load up my brush with, I'm still using my number 10, and I'm going to be doing some of this. Oh, it looks like snow or something. Better get some more white in there. And getting that in here. See how nice these flat brushes are, these block ends. These are very nice. I better think there's a lot of this over here. And on top of here. And I think there's some over here in this area. Let's quit messing around and get back to business up here with these fellows. Whew. And try not to make it too complicated. Okay, I think we need to go a little bit darker in the sky because we're starting to work on that mood thing. So I'm kind of I started mixing into this other area, kind of between my darks and my lights. And let's see what that looks like. Let's add some red and some green to it. And I think that might be too dark, so I'm adding a little bit more white to it. Let's see here. There we go. I think that's about perfect. And you're saying, I can't see the difference between the sky and the mountains. Well, we'll figure that out later. Don't panic. But let's get the subtle darks in here that all this requires. And then what we can do tomorrow is when we balance, we can get more white in these areas like I'm doing now, okay? But that's later, don't do it. Hold off from doing it. I know you want to jump into all this detail, but relax. Okay, let's go over to the white. Throw a lot of white in this mixture. Let's add a little cerulean. This is basic cerulean and white. Still using my number 10, and we're going to be getting some of these foreground lights in. And probably should be using a smaller brush now. Get into here. But sometimes I'm just stubborn. I've got this thing in my hand, so I might as well use it. And let's get this right. I think I need a lot more snow right in here. All right, I've got this color here in the bottom right, this triangle, which is kind of a troublesome fella. So let's go back to what this bush color was and let's throw it in here. Let's throw some viridian in it and some raw sienna. Raw sienna. And now I need to lighten it up a little bit. Let's get some burnt sienna in there. Burnt sienna. Burnt sienna. You know, I should be mixing with my palette knife, but look at me, I'm just slopping through here. And there we go. And that, I think, is blocking, but I think I'm a little weak. I got a minute or two. Let me see what I can do here. These are a little weak in value. I could work that out a little bit. I'm going to retire this number 10 to do the job. And I'm going to go back. Looks like I've got that number 6 rosemary again. And so let's go into Ultra, and what little raw sienna I have left, Ultra, and let's strengthen this up a little bit. Oop, too much white. Too much white, get that out of there. And I'll change these. I'll bring some of them into the willows. And I'll squeeze this tree here a little bit. And I think we need some white up in here too. Okay, get back, take a look. And I think that's our block in. Okay, not bad. Yeah, good. Whew, I like it. It's looking pretty good. I'm acting surprised we pulled this off so easily today. Anyway, thanks very much for coming by to part 1. And tomorrow will be balance phase. Yeah, we do have a lot of work to do tomorrow, but gosh, if you get this far, you're going to really be set up well for tomorrow. So, with that, thanks for coming by, and we will see you in part 2. All right, bye-bye.